Donald Tuttle writes a story about a little boy and his dad. They're walking down a country road when they came across a rather large stone. The boy looked at the stone and thought for a moment. Then he said, "Dad, do you think if I use all my strength, I can move that stone?" The father thought a moment, and then he said, "I do think if you use all your strength, you can move that stone." The little boy ran over to the stone and began to push. He pushed and he pushed. He pushed as hard as he could, and that stone would not move, not even an inch. After a while, the little boy sat down on the ground, his face fallen. His whole body seemed to be just a lump there, sitting on the ground. "Dad, you are wrong. I cannot move that stone." Father walked over to him, sat down on the ground beside him. He put his arm around his son's shoulder and he said, "Yes, you can do it. You just didn't use all your strength. You didn't ask me to help you." You and I celebrate our freedom, our independence, July 4th. Independence, freedom, does not happen all by ourselves. We need all of us working together. We need each other to preserve and to protect this wonderful gift of freedom. Blair reminds us that 56 men signed the Declaration of Independence. Their conviction resulted in untold suffering for themselves and their families. Of those 56 men, 5 were captured by the British and tortured before they died. 12 had their homes ransacked, burned. 2 lost their sons in the Revolutionary Army. Another man had his sons captured. 9 of those 56 fought and died from wounds or hardships of the war. Carter Braxton of Virginia, a wealthy planter and trader, saw his ships sunk by the British Navy. He had to sell his home and his property to pay off his debts, and he died in poverty. At the Battle of Yorktown, the British General Cornwallis had taken over Thomas Nelson's home as his headquarters. Nelson quietly ordered General George Washington to open fire on his own home. The home was destroyed, and Nelson died bankrupt. John Hart was driven from his wife's bedside as she lay dying. Their 13 children fled for their own safety. His fields and his mills were all destroyed. For over a year, he lived out in the forest and in caves. When he returned home, he found that his wife had died, and all of his children were missing. A few weeks later, he died from exhaustion. This is the story, part of the story, of the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence. It's a story of the high price for commitment and for freedom. You've heard it before, and you'll hear it many, many more times. Freedom is not free. So we give thanks today for all those who sacrifice for our freedom. And you and I hopefully will pledge to work to make sure our children and our families continue to experience the blessings of being free. God bless our America.